This is the plaintiff, Frank Macedonio. He says the defendant backed her big old SUV into his car with such force, her vehicle landed on top of his small Hyundai. The careless defendant never even looked behind her as she backed her monstrosity up. Thank God there wasn't a person there. The tiny woman was shocked when she saw what she did, but still hasn't paid him for his damages, so he's suing her for the $2,770.51 he's owed. This is the defendant, Guthrie. She says the story the plaintiff tells is totally false because while she was waiting for a parking spot, the plaintiff drove his car into the back of her SUV. Even the cops who arrived on the scene agreed with her version of the events. She has damages as well, and if anyone's owed money, it's she. She's accused of not looking in the rear. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $1,139.64 for vehicle repairs and lost wages.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. Talk about a bad accident. Plaintiff says the defendant backed her SUV into his Hyundai so fiercely it landed on top of his whip. But the defendant says the plaintiff hit her. It's the case of who's on top.
Thank you, Douglas. Okay, Frank Macedonio, you are suing Guthrie?
Yes.
Okay, you've asked just to not mention your last name and just to go by Guthrie, okay, for $2,770.51. The estimate to repair some damages to your vehicle. You are counterclaiming against him lost wages and the estimate for your vehicle, which totals $1,139.64. Okay, Mr. Macedonio, tell me what happened.
All right, Your Honor, I was taking my girlfriend to the library.
What I'd like you to do, can you help me
Sure.
out by explaining it here on this?
Right, no problem. Okay. All right, we'll pick out the caddy. It's a nice spot. All right. I'm about here. This is the library. Okay. You know, I wanted to do the right thing. You know, park. I didn't want to park, but I wanted to let her out so she could go to the library.
What's the right, how it,
Well, not, you know.
where's the moral dilemma on that one that you want to do the right thing? What do you mean?
I would usually go to the parking lot and just, you know, she would walk, but this time I decided she's going to get out. I wasn't
Okay.
parking.
Okay.
The problem was, this is the library entrance in here, and there's a hallway. Now, there were people, she was right here,
She who?
the defendant.
Okay.
Her
Take
car.
a car and put
Her car was right here. She's trying to get into a spot over here,
Okay.
okay? As soon as I turned my head to look to move, she just backed into me.
Okay. Now there's
But
there's no pick up and drop off spot in front of the library.
It's just, there's no sign. The sign is further up. It says no standing. There is a sign, yes.
Okay.
So she came out and she didn't say a word. She was like stunned. And I said, you hit my car. You're just, you know, she has a big SUV, tremendous. I got a little Hyundai wagon. It's low to the ground, you know. So she ran right on top of me.
Okay.
Now, if she says that I hit her, if I'm at the curb here, I'm going to be pulling out. I'm going to be pulling out at a spot.
And
so her damage is to the right. I mean, it doesn't make sense. I would hit her on the left.
Sure, let me
She
tell you.
has no damage.
I'm not suggesting this happened, but let me tell you the many ways that this could make sense because everybody thinks you're an accident reconstructionist.
No.
Okay, so she's here, she's going to go into a parking space and you come out and you hit her. But you're saying that's not what happened.
No.
What you're saying happened is she's here, she's waiting to take a parking space. You're here standing in an area that says no standing. And then she decides, I guess, in order to angle her way into the parking space that she's going to back up and she hits your car. And the impact is where and where?
Right rear, her right rear.
And your
left fender. And
front?
hood. Right here. I have the picture in my camera.
Yeah.
I could show you.
I would like to see it.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Here's the photo.
Okay.
You see, it's the right side. That's my left side.
I'll let her ask the questions.
Okay.
All right.
I'm sorry, I wasn't able to print out, but I have additional.
Is it? Hold on. Is this the actual contact between the cars?
Yes, it is.
Man, she is completely in front of you, and you are completely. You're like this.
Yeah,
Not like that.
I'm on the side, Your Honor, on the sidewalk. But you can see it's impossible for me to
from
back
this
up and hit
picture,
her.
just a second. From this picture, it looks like the damage is like that, with both cars facing the exact same direction. There's no tilt.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Yes. So how can I hit?
And actually,
how can I
everybody's
be
really
moving if
close
she's
to
in
the
front
curb.
of me?
I don't know. Maybe you hit her from behind. I have no idea. What is she going to say? Let's hear you,
No,
ma'am.
but but what about the photos here?
Yeah, hand them up. What have you got to say?
My voice is having a problem. I had a throat surgery, so
Oh, goodness.
my voice is going. That's why my husband is going to try to see if he can get to talk to me.
Okay, I would prefer to hear your story since he
Okay.
wasn't there, right?
Okay, yes,
Okay,
he came
but we'll
right
just
up.
go really slowly and everybody else has to be really quiet.
On that evening, July 19th, I was taking my son to the library to pick up a book. As I was driving it.
Come on over here. Yeah, try as
Remove his car from now. I drive. Normally coming, you drive into the parking lot. The traffic is going out. I will be coming in. Put my signal on to turn in to get to the slot. As I turned in, waiting for the upcoming traffic to clear, that's when I felt my impact.
So show me the impact. How did he hit your car?
This is me, like this.
So according to you, he hit you from behind.
Yeah, I have pictures here in my.
Let me see your pictures.
I had my signal on too at the same time.
Thank you.
Now, was your son in your car? But your son's not here to testify.
He's in school.
Okay, he's how old?
14, he's a
Your
minor.
girlfriend was in your car or just had gotten out of your car?
Yes, Your
Did
Honor.
she see the accident?
She saw the accident, but
So why isn't she here?
she had a procedure and she was in the hospital. I couldn't ask her to come, Your Honor.
Here we go. Boy, one of you guys is a bold-faced liar because if you're saying she backed into you and you weren't moving, that's what you're saying.
I wasn't moving.
You weren't moving and she backed into you.
Yes.
And you're saying he crashed into me and I wasn't moving. You guys know how it happened. One of you is a bold-faced liar.
Do drivers become inherently aggressive when they find an open parking spot?
Yes, we do, because, I mean, it's stressful enough to we have time on our schedule. We need to just get a spot and get out.
I love that you are speaking now for all drivers. I'm going to go in the back here.
Yes, I do that. When
You do that. You
I
can
do that. I'm gonna be.
A bee on wheels.
I'm gonna be on wheels. Yes, I constantly do that. I think everybody does that at one point.
No, I think you're an especially bad person.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. That was a joke. I was just kidding you. Okay, I'm going inside the courtroom.
Is there a police report?
Yes.
May I see the police report?
You want both sides, John, or just one?
Oh, both. Just make sure it's the same police report.
You got it.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Are you both insured?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
And did anything happen with the insurance companies? How'd that work out?
They just said to me, they said they were going to come and look at my vehicle, that I was in the right because she was backing up to get, and a month went by, they never came. And so I decided to.
Did you ever get a letter or nothing?
Yeah, I have these two letters.
Let me see the
yes,
letters
Yeah. They were going to come to my complex and look at the vehicle, and then I got this other letter stating they weren't going to do anything.
The operator of our insured vehicle states that she was stopped at a stop sign when her vehicle was hit in the rear by your vehicle.
No,
you weren't
that's
stopped
not
at a
true.
stop sign, right?
No. I stopped to
that
let the
say no
lady
I
out.
don't need to hear you both repeat yourselves. I'm asking, did you tell your insurance company that you were stopped at a stop sign? No. Because that's what your insurance company is telling him you said. He's really close to the curb.
Yes, Your Honor. She was right in the middle of the road, Your Honor.
You comment in your answer to the complaint that he was not supposed to be standing in a no standing zone, right?
Say that again.
Let me see how you say it so that I'm not putting words in your mouth. Hold on. I got out of the car and he said, "What's wrong with you?" I said, "What's wrong with you?" The plaintiff was dropping off his girlfriend and was probably not paying attention to the sign that said no parking or standing at any time. But if you're saying that he drove into you, it wouldn't be relevant that there was a sign that said no parking or standing at any time.
No, well, I said that in comment when the insurance people, they were talking to me. I turned to him and said, look where you
Was he
even
standing or
stopped."
wasn't he? Because if he was standing, you probably backed into him. And you comment that he was in a no standing zone.
Yes.
There's a couple things that bother me. He's so close to the curb that the idea that he's moving really close to the curb and hits you is more far-fetched than the idea that you're backing in and you don't realize he's there because he's not supposed to be there.
I was not backing. I had my signal on, waiting for the opposite traffic to clear.
You know what I think? I think he's standing in a no standing zone where he's not supposed to be. And I think you don't expect him to be there. And I think you backed into him. If you didn't back into him, why are you commenting about how he's not supposed to be standing there? He was in a no standing zone. Why are you commenting about that unless you're remarking to me he was standing as opposed to he hit you?
No, the reason I used that comment, Your Honor, is that when I came out of the vehicle, I saw the sign. I said, look where you are to begin with. That's how the comment came across.
What year car is this? A 2000?
Yes, Your Honor.
Hyundai? I mean, the Blue Book value in good condition is $1,700. You're asking for $1,000 more than that to repair it. You know that would never happen. I mean, you're capped at the total loss. You know what the concept of total loss means, right? Like if I have this and it's worth $5, I can't pay $800 to fix it because it's worth $5, right? That's the value of it. So the most that you can get is the value of the car. The Blue Book value for your car in good condition is $1,700. So you would never get $2,700. And then from the $1,700, I have to figure out if I think it happened the way you're saying it happened, and you're in a no standing zone, I find there to be some culpability on your part because you're in a place where she didn't expect you to be. Yes, you should look and see what she's doing. She should not assume. Do you have one of those cameras in your car that...
I also have a sensor.
Or we have a saying in Spanish, golpe avisa. The bump will warn you when you've gone too far. But I do think that in a situation like the way I think it happened, there's still culpability on the part of the person who is in a place where he's not supposed to be. So there is some culpability on your part. I don't think as much as the culpability of somebody backing into you, but I find you to be 25% at fault. I find her to be 75% at fault, which means that I find a judgment in favor of the plaintiff in the amount of $1,276.50. That's my judgment on your counterclaim against him because I've told you how I think that accident happened based on the pictures that I'm looking at in the evidence. Zero. That's
Thank you, Your Honor.
Good luck.
Well, here comes the 75%. The defendant, 75% responsible. Acceptable?
I don't think that's fair because where I was, it was a legal stop, legal waiting, everything. The police came and looked at the evidence and look where he stopped and said that he was wrong. That's a report my insurance company worked on. So
When you're sitting in that big SUV, isn't it a little difficult to see?
No, I have a backup sensor. I would have known. Once you go into backup, you will get that sensor goes on.
All right. Tea and lemon with a little honey.
Thank you.
Right down this way.
Have a good day.
You too. All right. How you doing? All right. Come on out here. Mr. 25%. Okay. You good with that?
Yes, I'm good with that.
You accept 25% responsibility?
Yes, I do. It's fair. I think the judge did the right thing. You know?
She says that, that backup beeper thing should have sensed your car. What kind of a tiny, tiny little car are you in there?
A Hyundai station wagon.
Yeah.
It's very low to the ground.
Fit right underneath these SUVs?
Yeah, it goes right underneath. Exactly. Yeah. And the photo shows that,
Yeah. All right. Okay. Let's see what Harvey says.
A lot of times insurance companies make judgments on what happened in an accident, and then they write it up and they say we're either going to deny a claim or accept a claim or whatever, and then you go to court. Fact is, a judge is not bound by what the insurance company says.